with the show, dude. Fucking, we're on acid. I'm just kidding. All right. So
we should have just faked that. We should just fake a show on acid. Like,
I don't know if that can be faked.
Imagine if Shaq was like in Mars.
No, I'm pretty sure that's just how really high on marijuana people sound.
So what's acid like? All right, well maybe we shouldn't.
Stop talking.
That's what I'm saying. So, all right, so we finished
Shaq's drop off. This should be like, I feel like we should enter like the show like with like a little like theme, like Shaq's
we
drop
do.
off.
It's called the theme music.
Yeah, but
it's called the theme music. It just played 5 seconds ago.
It's like
it just played 5 seconds ago. We dropped it and we came in through music. So, Shaq is the head of this super team, right? This is where we left off. Shaq.
I don't know about that.
I mean, there's 4 Hall of Famers on this team.
No, but Shaq's not the head of it though. I think Kobe's the head of it at this point.
Either one.
My bad. I was just
either one.
Either one. Say one. Okay.
Yeah, but the reason why I call Shaq the head is because he was the reason Malone and Gary Payton came. As we talked about last year, the team is centered around Shaq from a personality standpoint. Kobe is more of the loner coming in and out, especially with the triangle.
That's a fact.
That's right. So I would still consider Shaq the head of the snake of this Laker team. But the goal was to get to the finals. They do get to the finals, but they are embarrassed in 5 games to a less talented team by all accounts, the Detroit Pistons. Shaq has a pretty good finals by his standards. I wouldn't say great because we've seen him average 35 a game for a finals, but 27-11 is okay, but kind of brings me to my main point I want to talk about here, which is...
Did you say 25-11?
I said 27-11.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm like, damn, you disrespected Shaq, boy.
Shaq disrespected himself here. So every single year of Shaq's career, outside of his rookie season, he's basically over 25 a game and almost 11 rebounds or more every single year. This is the first year the rebounds are there, but the points take a significant drop off. The shot attempts take a drop off, and his games played over the last 3 seasons have just taken a dive. He's been hurt at least 15 to 20 games every season. And, what do you call it? He's begging for a contract extension. Yeah. And I was trying to figure out why he was like absolutely begging for a contract extension. And I read across Jeannie Buss's quote in this Bleacher Report thing they did in 2015, talking about that 03-04 season, all the different things that went down during the year from their perspective. And Jeannie Buss says Shaq's agreement had been grandfathered into that collective bargaining so that he could be paid more than anybody else. And I was like, what does that mean, grandfather? I was like, I don't know of anybody that was grandfathered into new rules. I know that the free agent process in the 90s changed towards the end. We talked about that during Shaq's Magic era because that was important to note. But what I realized was it's bird rights.
Yeah.
If you're not familiar with bird rights, they still exist to this day. Your team, the team that you played for, I think you have to play for them for at least your contract has to be over a certain.
You got to be extended, I think.
Your contract has to be a certain length. Like it can't be on your rookie deal. I don't think.
Yeah, you have to get at least one extension, I think.
The description will be under your screen of exactly how you qualify. But your team, so in this case, the Lakers, could pay over the salary cap to extend Shaq's contract. That's what she means by grandfathered in. It's just a poor choice of words. And that's why he's like, pay me, and not worrying about being traded yet or anything like that. What were you going to say?
Yeah, a perfect example of that in today's NBA is Harden. Like, he's been traded everywhere he's went, so that's why he's been getting all these max deals.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he's able to get all the max deals. Yeah.
Because he's on that same contract, the bird rights still apply. But only that team that owns you, or that owns that contract, excuse me. They don't own the players. Let me take that back. They can go over the salary cap to keep you, which is important because that means Shaq can make more money in LA than anywhere else. And as we know, Shaq is about his fucking money.
Yeah, facts.
And yeah.
I was gonna say, especially by this point, like, I'm sure he's looking at it as the last time I had to get a deal, I didn't have no championships, and now I'm like a three-time champion.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Since the last extension, right? Which I think was either, I think it was right before his MVP. Well, his first big contract was 96, and that was for 7 years, right?
Yep.
So, how many seasons is this? 96 to 04. Is this 8 years?
9.
It's 9.
Oh,
so he did. He signed an extension. He must have signed an extension in 99. I know he did for a fact because it was a big contract extension that gets him to 03-04. Yeah. I know that for an absolute fact. I'll have the year on your screen. But he signs that deal, and that's why in the beginning of the preseason, he was like, pay me, let me get the money. I need to get it here. And that's why he was pressing the issue all last season. Yeah. But he wanted, Jeannie Buss continues to say, he wanted an extension that my father wasn't willing to agree to, and their agreement was only about money and business. My dad didn't harbor feelings about Shaq. In fact, it was important they repaired their relationship before my dad passed away. It was a business decision, and there are always those kinds of issues on a team. That's completely true. And I think Jerry Buss is looking at it like, I'm going to be getting diminished returns. I don't think Shaq's getting back to 28 and 12 or his MVP year of 30
It was a
14.
smart, to me, overall, like, not only because I'm a Kobe fan, but that was a smart decision. Like, it was obvious that it was starting to become that.
If you're playing NBA 2K,
yeah,
we did talk about it throughout the season. But if you're playing NBA 2K and you're doing GM mode and you see a guy that was carrying you going from 27 to 11 to 21 and 11, you're thinking about getting rid of him before his value completely deteriorates. Mm-hmm. So that made a lot of sense to me. There is 2 more years left on the contract, I believe. Either 1 or 2 more years left on the deal.
Yeah,
so
I think there's 2 more technically, because he would have played in 04 and 5 and then 05, 06, I think.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And Kobe is a free agent. First time he's an unrestricted free agent in his career, and he wrote in that same 2015 recap, I wasn't going to play with Shaq anymore after 03-04. That just wasn't going to happen. He had said things that he said, criticism in the media saying I can't win without him. Look, I put that individual shit aside to win championships, and now I'm getting criticized for it. Now I'm going to show you fucks what I can do on my own. I didn't add any of this. This is what the man said. So that
did he really?
Yeah, I didn't add any of that. First of all, in the notes, and on your screen, you'll see the dashes in the curse words. I don't have enough class to dash the curse words. I would have just wrote it. But yeah, I was going to answer that challenge no matter what. Whether I was going to stay in LA or go somewhere else, I was going to answer that challenge. So Kobe was done with Shaq. And what he doesn't write here, and what's talked about a lot less as we move away from this, is he was done with Phil Jackson as well. He was completely done with Phil. He was tired of Phil always relying on Shaq, always picking Shaq over him. This is how he looked at the situation. You can take what you want out of it. But Kobe looked at it that way. I'm shocked by that announcement. But Kobe. So Kobe's
I just realized it was 2015 he said that. I thought he was saying that in that moment.
No. I'm sure he said it to himself in that moment.
For sure.
But not to the public.
Probably. Yeah.
Definitely not to the public.
As he should have, because I'm not going to lie. Besides the NBA Finals, because Kobe kind of didn't do really well in the NBA Finals. But throughout the season, it was 100%. He was definitely, he was like, Shaq wasn't that guy anymore. Like throughout the season,
Right.
that was the reason I was saying like I felt like Kobe was the head of the snake. But I understand where you're coming from in terms of the entire team. Like Shaq was definitely the head of the snake because he created it. So.
Yeah, and that's why it's so fitting that it also he created it, and ultimately it was destroyed. Like I don't know,
because
there's a lot of this poem.
Would you say it's because of him? Like I feel like I could understand why everybody in the world hated Kobe at this point because the media made it that way.
Yeah. Also, he didn't help matters. Like he's not going to the media trying to change the narrative like Shaquille. Like he's just kind of letting you.
I think that's the young
at that
player.
Point, you are what people write about you.
Do you not think that that's the player? That's the young player in him? Because like I feel like he was pretty young at this age. Like
I just think he didn't give a fuck. I just think that those things didn't affect him like it would affect other players. I think he used it as motivation. So as long as it filled his motivation gas tank, what difference did it make to him? That's always what he was about.
Yeah.
But the New York Times wrote a day after Game 5 of the 2004 Finals, Kobe Bryant, who will be a free agent this summer, has all but cleared out his emotional Lakers locker. He said that he will talk to the Knicks and that he is open to surging Memphis to be reunited with his mentor Jerry West.
Yeah.
So we could have had Pau and Kobe a few years earlier.
Yeah, fine.
With Jerry West. What do you think that would have looked like?
Another championship.
Into Memphis? I don't know.
Bro,
about that.
What? Wait,
I'm not willing to go that far.
No, I'm not about to say. You think Jerry West with Pau and Kobe, if the Lakers organization naturally just did that, like, you don't think Jerry West would have conjured up some crazy shit?
Oh, I definitely think. So Grizzlies were 50 and 32 last year. I know this is Shaq's legacy breakdown, but I really thought this was interesting and I wanted to
this type of stuff is important because this is really right now. I know Russ don't like to say this, but it's really Shaq and Kobe's legacy breakdown.
No, it's not.
From Shaq's perspective.
It's not, because we're not talking about Kobe after this fucking...
Yeah, that's fine.
You're not wearing that jersey another day. Fuck that.
He's a hater.
But I can't confirm or deny that I'm a hater. But Pau Gasol, coming into his own, starting to become a better basketball player. Kobe obviously helped him later in his career. So I think similar things could have happened. You have a young Shane Battier on this team. Amazing 3-and-D guy.
Come on. Mike Miller?
Mike Miller. Fonzie
James
Wells.
Posey?
All these guys shooting threes.
Come on.
This would be a very, 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 very good team. But the only question is, I just don't know who they keep if they add Kobe's massive contract. Like, obviously, the team's not going to be exactly the same.
So Kobe, I completely think that if they could have got him close to the max, they would have. Because remember, he's not going to get the same max that he's got with the Lakers, because he would be going to a different team.
Jason Williams. Well, they might not have Jason Williams on this team if they take Kobe's contract, for example, because this is the next year's team. Looking at the roster between the difference, because otherwise, this starting five, adding Kobe, replacing Fonzie Wells with Kobe, is just.
Yeah.
This is a very 50 wins last year. What did they end up with this next season? 45 wins. And their coaches, one of Lindsay's favorite coaches, Hubie Brown.
Okay, stop. The only issue I have with Hubie Brown is that he's way too fucking old to be talking fast enough for color commentary. Yeah. This man goes to say, oh, look at that free throw. And they're already back down the floor taking another shot. He's just too fucking old and slow.
You know what he's the king of? He's the king of the obvious basketball statement. You know what he did there was great. He had his feet in front of him, and he put his hand in his face. And because he did that, the shot was harder to make. Yeah. He's the king of that. Absolutely the king of that. Look, if the ball doesn't go in as many times as it does for the other team, then they're going to lose. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah, thanks, Hubie.
Yo.
Yeah.
Time out. So that Memphis team, though, they were fourth in the league in defense and 23rd in offense. You add Kobe to that offense?
Yeah. No. It definitely looks good. They're definitely contending in the West, but I would be like, championship, first try.
No, not first try. Hell no.
I mean, you said it before I
No, I'm saying, but that would be championships.
Check it out.
Coming. He could have got two championships for sure.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't beat one of the San Antonio teams. Probably would have been difficult. But
But
all right, let's
he also said possibly the Knicks, but we're not going to talk about that. So,
yo, he would have made mad. Imagine. That would have been insane. I would
hate Kobe.
You know how much cock eating I would have literally lived in Kobe Town. What the fuck? And I'm not gonna lie, there's no love for this. You see this part of the jersey? That's not the love, man. It's right here. This number right here.
It's the name on the back.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck all that Lakers bullshit. If Kobe was a Knick, I'd be cocky to Knick, man. Stop playing with me. Amazing. I'm telling the truth. And I'm from New York City. I don't even care about the Knicks. All right,
in this same article where they're talking about where Gary Payton, Malone, and Kobe's are going to could possibly end up, they only have one sentence about Shaq. O'Neal will retire as a Laker. That was the thought from the media's perspective after the 04 finals, which I thought was fascinating. I don't know how the fuck they could put 2 and 2 together. I mean, even without knowing the Jerry Buss stuff, just terrible. This writer who wrote this would be a terrible GM.
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah,
using all these narratives to say Shaq should stay and Kobe should go. Got to look at it from what you're trying to build going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Finally,
that would have been the dumbest move as an organization. Because Shaq would have been. He
basically plateaued at that 20 where he was at here in this last 03-04 regular season is where he's going to plateau essentially.
Yeah.
At this 21-11, he's going to be here for the next couple of years. That's what you're getting, and I think Jerry Buss rightly saw that. But as for Phil Jackson, where will he land? Where will Jackson land? Tibet? He won't return to Los Angeles. And one bizarre prediction has Pat Riley, now the Miami Heat's president, returning to coach the Lakers. How's that for fucking irony?
Yeah.
He would have a meeting. He'll have a meeting this summer about the Lakers coaching job. Unfucking believable.
But all right, so now this is my conspiracy theorist brain. Do you think, because he kind of even mentions it a little bit, but do you think it was really to try to get closer in with Shaq?
I thought you would say something like this, and this is where I think if you want to play a conspiracy, I have no proof to this, by the way, but knowing Pat Riley, knowing he's a competitor, you take that head coaching interview to see what maybe the situation is, to your point. Because within the next few weeks, within 2 weeks after that interview, Riley's going to reject the job offer and then work with them to get Shaq. So he could be doing something as simple as building a relationship with no intention of taking that job.
Yeah. Because to be honest, what doesn't make sense, him going from being GM, president, whatever, to being a head coach of the Lakers? Though it's the Lakers, it's not that much of a pay. It's not gonna do anything for you.
I don't think it'll. Yeah, to your point, I don't think it's a pay bump. I don't think.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know. It's a lot of stress. He's already done that, which is I think where everybody's getting the.
Yeah.
But I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, and you'd be going into possibly hated territory because they're trying to get Kobe this deal. At that point, Kobe hadn't signed the deal yet either. So it's I
think he and Kobe would have been good together.
Oh, for sure. The militant mentality, it would have been, it would have been, for sure. I think that would have been perfect.
Yeah, I think that would have been good. And it's just ironic, and we will get into it over the next season, the next Miami Heat era. It's crazy how Shaq ended up there and how he responds to it in a negative fashion, as you could expect based on everything we've gone through this Lakers era.
Yeah, exactly. Because he was dealing with something similar, but not above him.
Right. He's really happy playing for Phil Jackson here. New York Times is going to write, O'Neal wants Jackson back, and has said he will be extremely angry if the organization or an individual player, e.g. Bryant, forces the coach out. So the media is just sniffing what's inevitably going to happen here.
Yeah.
If O'Neal, who cannot opt out of his contract until next season, believes Phil Jackson has been slighted, he may ask for a trade, even though he could not force the Lakers' hand. This summer is going to be a different summer for a lot of people, Shaq said. Everyone's going to take care of their own business, and everyone is going to do what's best for them, including me.
Yeah.
So this is starting to.
Yeah, and the crazy part is he knew that because it was a different summer for him because this is the first time in his career that he really is not getting what he wants,
right? Or has no control, has no leverage, nothing.
Yeah, because you could argue the Orlando and Laker thing where he wanted $100 million after the Alonzo Mourning thing, but originally he was okay with the 80. Remember,
right.
So but this is this would. He thinks his market value is here. And just a year ago, his market value was just $9 million off from what the Lakers were offering him.
Right.
And now it's they don't even want to talk to you about those numbers. That's crazy.
It is crazy. And it's just crazy how the relationship just completely deteriorated.
Yeah.
It's completely deteriorated. So after that, that article was on the 17th. On the 19th, the LA Times reports, through his agent Perry Rogers, Shaquille O'Neal has demanded the Lakers trade him. A request team management sources say will be granted if possible. So this is the part that I really wanted to get to this before I bring this up. Shaq tells the story like Mitch Kupchak said the Lakers are open to trading Shaq, and then he wanted the trade.
Yeah.
The way I have it is he demanded the trade. And because it says in this article, Kupchak, who said Thursday he would consider trading O'Neal if that is what he wished, had no comment on Friday. So it's basically putting the ball in Shaq's court. It's not like Mitch Kupchak being like, we're going to be taking offers on Shaq. It's Mitch Kupchak saying we'll trade him if he wants to be traded, but ultimately, I'm pretty sure he's probably got a no trade clause.
Huh?
He's probably got a no trade clause.
He
doesn't?
I don't think so because he could.
I'll look it up.
Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure he couldn't pick which team he wanted.
I don't know if I can look that up quick. It'll be on your screen if he does or he doesn't.
Yeah.
But he definitely had say of where he went, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he was.
Well, the whole thing is he didn't have much options. They didn't have much options because how much Shaq's contract currently was too much for a NBA organization, so they would have had to give up huge pieces that they didn't want to give up.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Let's see. O'Neal, one of the great players in NBA history and the Finals MVP in the Lakers' last 3 championships, has 2 seasons remaining on his Laker contract for $28 million next season and $31 million the season after. He can opt out of the final year of his contract to become an unrestricted free agent, but he's in a bigger hurry to go. Yeah. So that basically, they have to find a team that's going to match that contract per the collective bargaining agreement. They need to have enough pieces to add up to Shaq's massive deal in order to make it work, which, to your point, completely limits where he's going.
Exactly. Quick question.
Yeah.
This doesn't have too much to do with this, but that attendance number on the Basketball Reference thing, is that how much attended that whole year?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I was about to say, there's no way 777,000 people could attend Staples Center. I was like, what the heck?
The Staples Stadium!
Yeah, what
But, who has better attendance than them, though?
7 people. 17.
Yeah, 17. I don't know how to look that up quick. I don't know how to look that up quickly, but I'll have it.
Yeah.
For this year. I'm surprised, though, because they were a fucking walking media shit show. I'm surprised they wouldn't sell out all the time.
Yeah.
But unless a team is under the salary cap, contracts in trades must be within 15% of each other. So that's what I was saying before. Thus, with few players even within $10 million of O'Neal, most teams would have to trade away their nucleus to land O'Neal. Also, O'Neal is 32 and may be slowing.
Yeah. Because he a hoe.
Yeah. Well, he's an old hoe.
No, but he's a ho-ho, because don't worry, Kobe gonna tell you how much of a ho he was.
So on the 11th, the Lakers have agreed in principle to trade Shaquille O'Neal to the Miami Heat, apparently ending a triumphant and tumultuous 8-year run in which the team won 3 NBA championships. And this happened, July 11th. So the last game was June 15th. By July 11th, Phil's gone, Shaq's gone, and Kobe is still a free agent mulling between the Clippers and, he's got an offer from the Clippers. He's looking for houses in Chicago. We found that out 20 years later.
Yeah.
And he's got this Lakers situation that's now wide open, and they can pay him the most.
Could I ask you something, Russ?
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect time to ask you this question. And this is awesome for the way we've set up the show, because we went through what happened in the late 90s with the Jordan era ending, right?
Yeah. And
seeing this Shaq and Kobe era ending, do you think this is the worst way to end the era that has happened so far, or do you still think that Jordan era was crazy, with the this organization? Mind you, Phil Jackson was a part of both, and no one mentions that, really.
And they were both kind of
centered around something.
Yeah, you could argue it was centered around him being the troublemaker.
Yeah.
In both situations.
Yeah.
Because Jerry Buss had a weird relationship with Phil. Jerry West, as we talked about in the 01-02 season, Jerry West literally was a lot of people felt like he left because Phil Jackson had too much say in what was going on, and Jerry West did not. He wasn't a fan of Phil Jackson and his tactics and shit.
Yeah.
And
that's crazy, because a lot of people don't look at that.
I think the better question for me is, what would I rather have a team? Would I rather have a team win all the championships, never get beaten, and just kind of, fade away? Or would I rather have a team that hits that apex and then you get to see what happens at the end of it, where it becomes a massive roller coaster?
Yeah.
I feel like it's probably better from a legacy standpoint for it to not go down like this. I feel like the way it happened for Jordan and the Bulls and that way that went down is ultimately shitty for somebody like MJ who didn't get this kind of moment that I think he wanted personally.
Yeah.
I think if they went to 01-02, the Chicago Bulls with that Pippen and Jordan nucleus, him and Pippen would have turned into Shaq and Kobe. That would have happened. It was already starting to happen in 98. MJ and Pippen were gonna fucking, because of money, because of status, because Pippen is a little bitch and Jordan is sensitive in his own way and ruthlessly competitive. It never would have. They would have won games, but there would have been a lot of banging heads, even more than what we saw, because we already knew that MJ didn't look at Pippen in the greatest of lights. Would say nice things about him in front of the camera, and it always says nice things about him at his Hall of Fame speech, for example, and stuff like that. But behind the scenes was
he was you below me,
Pippen,
bitch,
little bitch with his migraines, with his migraines and his injuries and his decoy bullshit. Fuck you, Scotty.
Yeah.
This is Jordan. This is Jordan, not Russell.
But so you saying you think the way the Lakers so this is the more dramatic thing to you?
100,000% more dramatic.
Yeah.
And I think more of a tumultuous.
I feel like the way Jordan's ends is more of a legend kind of thing.
100%. Yes. A lot of what ifs after that. And there's a lot of what ifs here. And I guess now is a good time to ask this. How long do you see that Shaq and Kobe nucleus being in this finals hunt past this point, if they stay together?
If they stood together?
Yeah.
I think Kobe, you see how they say they could have got 8? I don't agree with them. I think they would have I think they possibly could have got Shaq one more time by 06. Like up to 06 is just like it was for him in his career, because it's only as far as Shaq gets it. And after a while, like, not for nothing, and I know this sounds like, I don't know, but Shaq after a while became like a huge, like a big liability, because like, he was a guy that couldn't hit free throws. He wasn't the greatest defender because all of his athleticism left. Like, he's not that easy bucket that he used to be. Like,
and I think the most important thing that you're kind of dancing around a little bit, but I think I understand where you're coming from, and I think it comes down to this: if he doesn't leave the Lakers, he's never going to change his mentality. He's always going to think he's going to be the guy, no matter what, with Kobe.
Yeah.
And when he left to go to Miami, it's been told by all accounts that he went to Dwayne Wade and squashed that shit.
Because I knew I was getting older. I was starting to lose a little bit. And Pat Riley was awesome. He was awesome. D Wade was awesome. And, you know, when I got there with D Wade, you know, I was like, you know what? I'm older. I'm tired. It's your team, D Wade. First thing I did with D Wade, we went to a restaurant. And I told him all the stuff that happened bad with me and Kobe. And I said, I'm telling you this, D Wade, because this could never happen between us. I said, tomorrow when I go to the press conference, it's your team. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to be your consultant. I'm going to be your consigliere. You're the godfather. I'm the top lawyer. We work together.
And I'm glad to be here. And I know you guys are probably going to start talking about whose team is it. I'm letting you know now it's Dwayne Wade's team. He's that type of guard that could lead us and do good things. And I'm just his big brother, and I'm just here to back him up. So this is Dwayne Wade's team. We don't want to hear no questions this year about whose team is. I'm telling you now, it's Dwayne Wade's team. He's the point guard. Eddie's his medium-sized brother, and I'm his big brother. And we're going to do this.
But that's the thing. Like,
why didn't that fucking happen with Kobe? Why?
Yeah, like,
why it was Kobe? And the answer is to Shaq. Kobe was a fucking asshole, and it kind of like a person at your job. But you know how you're gonna love this. You know how if you're running an office and you get pizza for everyone, right? There's always gonna be that there's that one person. Kobe was that person in the group that was like, next time get better pizza. Like, he never was willing to
do that to Kobe.
Give Shaq
you're not about to do that to Kobe.
At this point, this is absolutely accurate. He could have changed later in life, but that's why Shaq looked at him, and the team, as we talked about, the Lakers as a team looked at him like, yo, dude, this is Shaq's team. You know what I mean? Like,
I really feel like that. How?
It's a fact. That's how he looked. I'm not telling you you can be right in your opinion, but this is how Shaq felt. Like, that's a fact.
Maybe he could feel like that, but like, why Shaq was not being like, it was because of Shaq that shit like that was happening. Like, he didn't help the situation at all. Like, if you're supposed to be like the leader,
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing that he didn't help with that at all. But I'm telling you, that's how Shaq looked at it. That's why he couldn't. That's why, like, he probably had moments where he did have moments where he was like, Kobe's the best player in the world. I love playing with this guy. He's fire. Yeah. But it was never, I don't know, the relationship with Wade was from day one different.
Yeah.
And just didn't have the opportunity to go sideways like that. But so Riley refused to part with guard Dwayne Wade, who as a rookie led the Heat in scoring during the postseason. Bryant is said to have urged the Lakers to acquire Wade, and it is unclear what impact their apparent failure to do so will have on his choice of where to sign. What would that have looked like?
Yo. Because you know what
guard Wade, two guard Kobe, best backcourt of all time to that point.
Yeah.
Willing to say that.
Oh, they would have been the best backcourt of all time in general.
Oh, I mean, it depends on how many championships they would have won. Splash Brothers are pretty fire.
Sure.
But to this point, undoubtedly the best backcourt of all time.
I meant, like, in terms of just straight up talent, like, those two versus anybody else, I'm going with Kobe and Wade.
It would be a really fun game to see peak Splash Brothers versus those two as a team on the Lakers. Because Wade would have absolutely moved to point guard. where he was flourishing. Like he was perfect.
Yeah.
He was still like he was 6'4", so he was big for the position, which is why he inevitably became a 2-guard.
Yeah.
But he had great passing skills. And him and Kobe, your guards are shooting no higher than 40%. 40% is your max. That's what I'm saying. Your best like, you can do.
I was gonna say they're like miniature Jordan Pippen in terms of like because obviously they're smaller, but like it's that wing not the wing, but the perimeter like offense and like lockdown defense.
Yeah, and they're both fucking clutch.
Yeah,
like, and they were both going to be in their athletic peak.
Yeah, it would have just been a thing like
fucking believable.
Like Wade was willing to like let LeBron like be the closer. Like,
yeah,
right. So like, would he have been willing? You think with Kobe? Like, I feel like
he was going to be willing with Shaq.
Yeah.
So if you're going to be willing with the Diesel, like, I feel like Kobe's not far off, especially at this point in the eyes of a guy who just got off his rookie
Kobe's
season.
Easily a top 5 player in the league at this point.
Oh, we talked about him 2 years ago being maybe second to Shaq at that point. Like, I have no problem with that. So I think
I feel like Wade growing up watching him too.
Yeah,
like he would have been so willing to do it, and then
exactly.
But like, my whole thing is, I feel like Wade and Kobe wouldn't have had an issue because I think they both work hard as shit. Like, so like that, because that's the biggest thing when it comes to like, and him having the passive mentality too. Like, imagine if then later they would have got Powell somehow too.
Yeah, that would have been insane. They would have gotten somebody. They would have gotten somebody.
Multiple championships. I'm just saying, but
I think if they do get a big like that before Wade's rookie contract ends, I totally agree. They get to at least one finals, at least one, and they win. And if
they would have had Lamar Odom and Dwayne Wade, I think that would have.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if they get. See, that's the thing. If you get Dwayne Wade, you know what I mean? Who comes out?
Yeah.
But
you could argue like Caron Butler. Like Caron Butler is still in that trade. You got the Grant, and then or maybe they just don't give up a draft pick, and one of those players. Like,
yeah, I mean, I just don't. It's hard to say. It's hard. You'd have to look at the contracts. It's hard to say. Wade was so cheap at the time in terms of money.
For sure.
It's just difficult. So, the New York Times wrote that. Like Abdul-Jabbar before him, O'Neal will team up with a dazzling young point guard in Miami, Dwayne Wade. Eddie Jones, O'Neal's former teammate in Los Angeles and the Heat's leading scorer the past 4 seasons, will start at shooting guard, giving Miami a threesome that should enable it to compete with Detroit, Indiana, and New Jersey for the crown. Today, the Miami Heat... I knew that was coming.
Giving them a threesome. All right.
Today, the Miami Heat took a giant step forward in our continued pursuit of an NBA championship for the city of Miami and this franchise, Pat Riley said. It has always been about winning for us and trying to win championships. We feel we have traded for the best player in the NBA. I just don't know how you can feel that way right now.
Yeah.
Like, again.
Being realistic.
I'm proud of them for saying best player and not most dominant. Yeah. Like, I said it before. It's a cop-out sometimes to say he's the most dominant. And it feels like almost a slight. Just say he's the best. And I think that's where Pat Riley went there, so I respect it. Even if he's wrong, I respect it.
So would you say, Russ, that if you're trying to be optimistic about it, you could look at it as Shaq was trying to play within the system last year because it was a little bit more spread out than usual. And then the reason he has less attempts is because of that system. So that's why he wasn't his dominant self, but now he can be. Do you think that they're looking at it like that, or
they have to be? I think that's a great. Yeah, nailed it.
That's the only excuse I think for that.
Yeah, you have to look at it like that if you're trading for this commodity that you just gave up a lot of fucking people for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I can't believe Shaq complains about this MVP, these 2 MVPs for.
Oh, we'll get there. We're gonna get there, man.
Okay,
I'm looking forward to that.
I'm looking
forward to
have to go.
That's absolutely part of this Miami era, because it's Shaq's fault because he put it into the lexicon during his post career, TNT and NBA TV work.
Yeah.
But I said at the end of the year I wanted to be on a team, just a team. O'Neal said in an exclusive interview with SportsCenter that aired Wednesday. This is on July 14th, 04. Doesn't matter whose team it was. I just wanted to be on the team, and I wanted things to go right.
Yo, he's such a hoe, man. Yo, that's such a lie.
Oh, right.
We literally, and this is the part, like, people can't say that we're, like, being, subject, like, we literally read shit of things he said at that time from news articles. Like, that, you cannot say that Shaq was telling the truth right there. Like, if you're a fan.
I'll say it before, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You repeatedly throughout this Laker era have accused me of going too hard on Shaq for what I deem is just straight up petulance and him being a fucking toddler. I just want to make that clear. You had to fucking
because I don't think it's like asshole. I'm not trying to like disrespect him like crazy.
I am trying to disrespect him because he disrespects everybody. He disrespects everybody all the time, and it's just you can't say things like this when there are things, especially in 2004. The internet is not new. People can go back and read this shit. Well, like, YouTube might have not existed yet, but come on. Like, it's just insane, the hypocrisy. So, I wanted things to go like they were supposed to. I wanted things to go the way they were supposed to. And if things were not going to go like that, then I wanted to be traded. I can only assume that means if we weren't keeping Phil, then we're not keeping me. Yeah.
I also think if we're not keeping Phil, and Kobe's still here too. I don't think he wanted Kobe there.
Sure. Yeah. I just think even if he did want Kobe there, it didn't matter because Kobe felt the way you're talking. Like, he was done with Shaq. As we talked about earlier, 100%. He was one way or another, he could no longer play with Shaq and be the Robin to his Batman. That wasn't going to happen anymore.
Yeah. There was a story in ESPN, I think it was ESPN magazine. And they asked you a question about me and Penny. And you said that we're essentially the same.
But Penny was that good.
Right. Penny wasn't Kobe.
Penny came in like that. It took Kobe maybe 2.5 years to get to that level. Penny came in, he was already like that. First year he came in, we went to the finals. Penny was Kobe.
No, we're not.
But I think you took that the wrong way because of all the misquotes and all the bad stuff.
I probably did. And I probably use his motivation too.
Yeah.
Saying, listen, if this is the conversation, I don't want this conversation. When I retire, I don't want people to say, okay, he only won because of Shaq. As unfair as that is, Magic never won without Cap, right? Michael never won without Scottie. So, but here I am getting stuck with this argument, which is not fair, but yet this is the argument people will make, and I'm not okay with that.
Do you feel like, if you were a fan at that point, do you think Kobe, like, looking at it, do you think Kobe's nuts for thinking he could win without Shaq? Because obviously that was a thing on his career for a little bit. Like, going into, like, after all we've seen, like, do you feel like looking at
where we're at right in this moment? So, look, you and I were, 9, 10 when this happened?
Yep.
I remember vividly feeling like Kobe couldn't win without Shaq when I was 10. Definitely in the moment. Like, living through it, it sounded crazy. Knowing what I know now about who Kobe Bryant is and was, I mean, it's totally on brand. It's completely on brand for his character to believe that and want to be able to do it. I think if he thought he was going to win a championship with the roster that they constructed in 04-05, that would be crazy.
No, I don't think
that
he ever thought
would be insanity on a high level.
Yeah.
But he's got to feel like he's a great enough player to get it done by himself, and I don't think he's wrong for that. But in the moment, as a kid, I definitely felt like, no way Kobe's doing it by himself. Nobody does it by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, just I do remember, because this was also before I got super into basketball like that. Yeah. But I do remember.
There's no way looking at that season though, or even the next couple seasons, and thinking like he could have. And I don't even think he could have, but he tried his hardest. I'll tell you one thing.
I was gonna say, like you said, optimistic viewpoint. Yeah. You got to look at it like, let's see how good I am. Let's find out.
Exactly.
And I'm sure that's how he was looking at it.
And we saw complete destruction.
Yeah.
Okay,
so,
like Shaq's legacy breakdown, my bad.
So within 2 days of Shaq's trade, Kobe Bryant's decision to accept the Lakers' 7-year, $136.4 million contract offer enabled the franchise to avoid what would have been perhaps the most embarrassing dismantling of a team in NBA history. So I guess my last major what if of this episode here is, what the fuck would have looked? Would the Lakers be as bad or worse than the Chicago Bulls once they blew it up with Jordan and Pippen?
It would have.
They couldn't have won more than 20 games, right?
Yeah, I would say they definitely would have looked worse. Because like you could understand why like there was just butting heads from the players to the coaches to the GM in Chicago, so you could see that. But here it's like, oh, you guys are just stupid. Like you literally couldn't. Like you said, fuck this guy, and then the other guy was just like, I don't want you either. Like you're just dumb. Like
what if they trade Shaq and then Kobe's like, hey, you know what? This is just a little too toxic for me.
Yeah,
I gotta go. The Clippers in the same building look awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna pass.
Yeah,
that'd be crazy.
Or even if he would have went to Chicago, think about it. Like if he would have went to Chicago, I don't think, like, obviously he would have been in Jordan's shadow, but in terms of actually, because I know he talked about going to Chicago, right? Like in the future, but or the past now, whatever. But I think he wouldn't have gotten it as bad because the Lakers media versus Chicago's media at that point is like,
don't agree. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with what you're about to say.
You don't think the Lakers has much more coverage on them than Chicago?
As someone, this is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
As someone whose job on this program is to sit and look through news, and find quotes, it's equal. There was just enough stuff I could find on Jordan from the Chicago Tribune. Like, Chicago Tribune was huge, especially at this point. And Chicago is the second, so it's New York, LA, and Chicago are really the main media markets, especially at this point. Okay. So I would definitely say that the news coverage was comparable, and Kobe Bryant chasing the ghost in Chicago would have been like ESPN would have went up there if Chicago wasn't even a media market. Like and speaking of, I lied. There's one more what if. Speaking of that ghost in Chicago. So the South Florida Sun Sentinel, because now speaking of diving through fucking newspaper clips, the South Florida Sun Sentinel, a newspaper I'd never fucking heard of until yesterday. Apparently for some, fortifying the Heat with Shaquille O'Neal isn't enough. So Wednesday brought the offseason's third round of rumors linking Michael Jordan to Stan Van Gundy's team. The latest round of speculation was fueled by a brief reference in a Denver Post article that read, the loose talk around the league is Michael Jordan has been working out like a demon, testing the possibility of joining forces with Shaq in Miami, according to Nuggets general manager Kiki Vandeweghe. All I'm going to say is during Michael Jordan's legacy breakdown, I did make the bold claim that he drafted Kwame Brown to be his Shaquille O'Neal. I think it made Jordan's dick hard to want to play with a great big man because he was never given that privilege. And I think he saw Kobe doing it with Shaq and going, I could do that better than this guy. Even at age 43, which is what he would have been if he came back for the 04-05 season.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have done it better than that guy, just so he knows. But
Does he even make it? Does he even make it through the year? Like, no, before his knees just explode.
Yeah.
There's no way he's scoring 20 points a game. I'm so glad he didn't come back and
my whole thing,
poor Eddie Jones or Dwayne Wade of minutes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But the whole thing is, I think that was just all bullshit, though. Like,
I don't know if it was, but I won't. Let me hear. I'm interested.
So this is my thing. Like, Jordan's biggest thing was also like he wanted to own something afterwards. Like, that's why with Washington, he was so big on
being part of the ownership.
Yeah, because he knew that he easily could have went back to Chicago if he wanted to, or if he really wanted to just play, why not stay a Bull kind of thing. I think he looked at it more so as ownership, and I'm sure by that point, because him and Jerry Krause weren't, or not, is it Krause? Well, whoever the fuck the actual owner is, didn't have bad relationships, and I think at this point,
Reinsdorf. You're talking about the owner of the Bulls, Reinsdorf.
Yeah, Reinsdorf, not Krause. Yeah, Krause. But I think he dies at some point, doesn't he?
No, he was around for the Last Dance. What are you talking about? He's
no, he dies, but I'm saying he died. No, Krause.
Oh yeah, he died. I don't know when he dies, but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is he dead or no? I don't know. Sorry,
I don't know.
I know you're dead now, but at that point,
you could be dead right now. You don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking, I will say this. Going back to your point on ownership and how the Wizards thing just ended in catastrophe.
Yeah.
Miami and Washington in the same division. You get to play them 4 times a year, no matter what.
Yeah, but
I'm just saying.
He's not looking.
I'm just saying it adds fuel to that famous Michael Jordan fire.
Yeah,
it wouldn't shock me at all if he was look, Miami, militant mentality, Pat Riley, lots of respect for Pat Riley. Michael Jordan thought he would be playing the game at age 50. He said that shit multiple times.
This is what I'm talking about. You're a Jordan fan. You found some way to bring Jordan into this.
I'm not. Look. I know that I can be looked at as a Jordan cockrider.
Yes,
you can.
I never realized this. I've known you for over 10 years, probably. Right?
It's because I don't. It's because while I think he's the greatest player of all time, I'm never I'm always, well, except for you. You're the only person that really feels this way because I talked about a bottle of Head and Shoulders one time.
Yeah,
but I don't go out of my way. I go out of my way to bring up Bill Russell. I don't really go out of my way to bring up Michael Jordan. I go out of my way to bring up Bill Russell in situations where you were not even thinking about him. For example, the greatest finals players of all time. Bill Russell in that discussion. As we talked about last time. But no, I really genuinely was doing research and I found this new newspaper and it was in there. So don't blame me, blame the world.
Nah, hell no. You definitely typed in Michael Jordan or something.
I didn't, I swear. I did nothing of the kind. It came up. My eyes did bug out like this. I was shocked when I read it. But I just was like, man, unless Jordan's gonna be a 6th man here, and come off the bench.
And he found it from some bullshit newspaper too.
Hey, listen, the South Florida Sun Sentinel will probably be something I look at multiple times in this thing because we got lots of articles. I gotta find somewhere in fucking Florida to get this news. Anyways,
you gotta look up.
Isn't there a Miami Herald?
I tried the Miami Herald. I couldn't find many articles. Maybe I will going forward.
Miami's not as big of a basketball town, though, so maybe.
On Monday, there was ESPN and CNN, reporters from Los Angeles and New York, as well as every media outlet in South Florida showing up to Shaq's opening news conference in Miami. There was Shaq in a big news conference with reporters, Shaq with a bodyguard and personal assistant. Shaq trailed to individual TV interviews by a Heat public relations assistant who carried a stopwatch and held each one 4 minutes exactly. So this man is on schedule. He talked a few words of Spanish. Yo hablo un poquito for Telemundo. He snarled on cue for a photo. He was asked by one reporter for his phone number and said, 1-866 too sexy. Gotta love it.
This is
gotta fucking love it.
He started talking about being too sexy. This man sounds like Drake and and Future or whatever.
Oh, here you go. This last quote is just for you.
For this.
That's the idea. So sexy. It's all right. So when I started playing, I wanted 6 or 7. So 3 is not enough, said Shaq, referring to the 3 titles he won with the Lakers. Van Gundy talked of O'Neal working on defensive drills in September and how the other guys see that and know they better be doing them. Teammate Dwayne Wade talked of O'Neal's mere presence raising every practice intensity. Every practice's intensity. And O'Neal, being O'Neal, talked of the time Wade drove the lane in the workout, passed him the ball, and it hit him right in the face. He said, Dwayne Wade said, you got to catch that. I said, I'm not used to those passes, buddy. That was just for you. That's just for you, because Kobe is a ball hogging piece of shit. In case you didn't know, in case you weren't sure. Speaking of Kobe being a ball hogging piece of shit, Kobe is about to dry snitch Shaq at the end of September, and we find out that is where.
This I do not condone from Kobe. I will say that.
What happened?
So,
all right, let's go.
Kobe's going to dry snitch here. Bryant told police of O'Neal payouts. This is the first time it's talked about. Shaq definitely knew about this before September 29th, 2004, because at the end of last season, he tried to fucking murder Kobe over this. Like, straight up murder. And I didn't bring it up during the season because there was no reason to talk about it until now.
I was mad. I couldn't drive to practice fast enough. Now this was me at my craziest. This is what I'm thinking. I'm going to drive to practice. We're going to fight. It's going to be awesome. May get beat to a pulp, but God, you know what? It's going to be a good one.
The funny thing is, I saw the article the night before. Uncle Jerome usually meets me at the house so we can ride together. So he wasn't there, so I wanted to beat him anyway. So I left the house at 8. As soon as I get to the ring, he was like,
I knew the fire that I lit. I knew what I said, and he knew what he said. You knew what you said, and you said, okay, this is it. It's coming to a head. We're gonna go in here. We're gonna be grown men about it. We're gonna fight it out, and then what comes out of it comes out of it. And that's just is what it is at that point.
Hours after his sexual encounter with a hotel employee in Colorado, Kobe Bryant told investigators that Shaq, his Laker teammate at the time, had paid up to $1 million to women to keep them quiet about situations like this, according to a police report.
That's crazy.
O'Neal was informed of the comment last September, about 2 weeks before Laker training camp opened in Hawaii, when prosecution investigators made an unsuccessful attempt to question him. His agent, Perry Rogers, said Tuesday that the allegation in Bryant's statement was untrue and undeserving of a response. So like I said, they met right before they went to Hawaii, and Kobe was going to get murdered, like straight up murdered.
That's crazy.
Bryant stated that Shaq would pay his women not to say anything. He stated Shaq has paid up to $1 million already for situations like this. He stated that Bryant, treats women with respect, therefore they shouldn't say anything.
That whole paragraph is problematic as fuck as a woman. That whole paragraph is fucked.
Welcome to the early 2000s and before it, Lindsay.
It's wild. Like,
a world.
Well, just so y'all know, like to translate this for y'all, a lot of dudes be tricking.
Yeah.
And then
Dave Chappelle has an awesome Dave Chappelle has an awesome bit in, I think it's season 2 of Chappelle's Show, which comes around right around this point. And it's called the confidentiality agreement, where you essentially are, after you're having sex with a woman, if you're a celebrity, you give them a thing, they sign it, and then they can't say anything. That's the confidentiality agreement.
Yeah, non-disclosure.
It was definitely during this time, because when Dave Chappelle took off his condom, he shot it in the basket and yelled, "Kobe!"
It happened.
So it definitely happened around. It came out right around this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just one last parting shot for Shaq. Right at the end, even though, like I said, this didn't come out public until the following year, and we're talking about it here right as Shaq is already a member of Miami.
And this is why I'm not gonna lie. This is one of the this is probably like the only whole thing Kobe's ever done in his life. So
okay,
so yeah, but I gotta address it. So it was probably because at this point was when. So the year before, was the reports from Kobe having the whole sexual encounter and Shaq not having his back. So Kobe was emotional. Didn't have any impact on the relationship.
No, keep talking. I'll get to
it. Yeah. So Kobe was being a hoe, and he was like, Shaq want to be like that, I'm gonna snitch on him, that's some bullshit, Kobe. I'm sorry, bro.
Shaq's agent said it didn't have any impact on the relationship because Shaq had a professional approach to his career and because he's had an understanding of Kobe's interest and Kobe's priorities. Kobe has historically been shown to be interested in one person and one person alone. Burial for no reason. Wild burial. Just an attempt to bury this man, continuing the narrative that Shaq has somewhat created, that Kobe is very much, and Kobe has not helped, that Kobe is all about himself and not a team player and won't pass the ball and is a rapist. That's basically what he's trying to say here. Which is fucked up.
No. Don't do that. We're not doing that, though. Kobe not no damn rapist. Like,
okay. I believe you. Let's move on. So,
I hate you, man. Like, because he knows.
Man, if you didn't love Kobe as much as you did, there'd just be no reason for any of that. But just because he holds a special place in your heart, it's important to remind you that he raped a girl one time, and he had to buy an $8 million diamond ring for his wife.
He
and an apology.
All right, we're not doing. I don't care.
There's and then you can't cases.
Just because someone says that you raped them, and then you go to trial and you're supposed to get convicted, but you didn't, and then you still are labeled a rapist. That's bullshit. That's how we're feeling out here, cuz I don't care.
So O'Neal, 30. So this is right before the season starts. Shaq says, "I'm intelligent enough to know when the ship that I'm not controlling. I'm intelligent enough to know when the ship that I'm not controlling is sinking." O'Neal said in an interview last week, "I'm smart enough to get off, get on the raft, go all the way from the Pacific, get on the ship, and be over here in the Atlantic." It's good shit. O'Neal, 32 years old, left more than bitterness in Los Angeles. At 331 pounds, he is 34 pounds lighter than he was last season. He's particularly conscious of not repeating the past with Dwayne Wade. "I learned from my experiences," he said. "I just got to be a little different with him. I'll probably never raise my voice, but I'm going to stay on him." Oh, man, I seriously doubt that. When the Heat completed the trade with the Lakers on July 14th, O'Neal was the one welcoming Wade. Wade said, "He told me everything I heard about him. You could throw it out the window. He's one of the coolest guys you'd ever want to meet," Wade recalled after practice last week. He said, "I'm coming down here to make you an all-star, help us win a championship." Wade, who's 22 years old, was in awe. When they met in Miami, O'Neal said he took Wade to a club to discuss the ins and outs of Penny Hardaway and Kobe Bryant. "I said, look, this is what went down. This is what went on. And we got to make sure it never happens between us. And it won't. Because I came out here to do something for Pat and do something for myself. And it's going to get done. It's a different type of team." So clearly a different mentality. Shaq trying to turn the clock back by being thin and, trying to doing something he should have done fucking a year ago.
Yeah.
Lose some goddamn weight and go and tell this young kid that it's his team. Yeah, even more, even further than that, you could argue.
Yeah.
But his stubborn ass wanted to be an NFL player. But we are very close here to another major run for Shaq. But as is the case always with Shaquille O'Neal, there is no season that will occur here without at least a little bit of drama and unnecessary horse shit.
Facts.
Hey guys, if you like what you heard, be sure to check out our YouTube channel. Just type in Apex Greatness on YouTube to see everything we put out this year. From legacy breakdowns to current NBA and NFL content. We have over 150 videos to binge if you're that type of person, or just to listen to in your spare time. We have about 2 to 5 hours of new content every week. Check us out. Later.